Hi, family. How y'all doing? Y'all hear me? What's going on? I don't hear myself. Oh, I don't hear myself. Hold on, I know why. Family, let me know if y'all can hear me. I'm still waiting for my guest to join. All right, Turiyo Coolwhip said he could hear, I think. So okay, Barbara, what's up, Barbara? Barbara Saunders, what's up? That's a regular listener right there. Yeah, so I'm waiting for my guest. First of all, he should be on here shortly. He was having a little technical difficulties logging in to his Chrome browser, so we just wait on him doing that. But in the meantime, what's up to y'all? Yes, my other channel got suspended again. They on some bullshit, family. They gave me 2 strikes. They said 3 strikes within 90 days, and they take your channel from you, right? So I'm on 2 strikes right now. They found the old video from January, and they saying I'm not gonna even. It was a video with Professor Griff, and they're saying that Griff gave medical misinformation again. That every time they came at my channel, they said it was medical misinformation. So go figure. And the crazy thing is that the show wasn't even about health. It was about CPAC and politics, and they still found some way to do what they do. But I understand the agenda that's at hand now, what's going on. So we got to move strategic in these times. These are very important times for both sides. Very important times for both sides. One side is destined to win, one side is destined to lose. And we on the winning side. So nothing at this point could make me upset. Nothing that can make me upset. Yeah, I know a lot of y'all saying to create, our own platform. That takes time, and I'm definitely going to do that. But I just didn't get the proper download. Like when I make moves and I do stuff, I wait to get certain downloads, certain ideas, and I just don't want to jump and do something. But I'm gonna get the proper download, so I'm not worried about that at all. When I need to do what I need to do, I'm gonna get the proper download, so I'm not worried about that at all. Yeah, freedom of speech. I don't know. I don't even know about that. Let me give a shout out before this brother come on to black businesses that you guys need to support out there. First and foremost, shout out to Copper Child Mike L. The crown that I'm wearing today is sponsored by this brother. Make sure you call the brother 212-256-1358 or go to his website to get your crown. You know what I'm saying? That brother will hook you up. He got a lot of good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely cannot forget my good brother, the best at what he does, my good brother King Simon. So shout out to King Simon. He got his info right there. You can text him. He got the holistic numerization course, learn the math method and how to apply your mathematics from a basic level. So yeah, that brother's the best. Like I said, he's helped myself, my family, my girl. He's told me things to do with my son that has helped. So he's one of the best. Him and Lloyd Straight on. Make sure you reach out to that brother right there. Make sure you definitely reach out to that brother. There's one more I want to share from the brother because the brother definitely got a lot going on right now. But also make sure you text him to get your consultation over the phone. Full name, date of birth to 347-496-1022. And make sure you text him, give him your info. That brother's going to get back to you. You know what I'm saying, family? But with that being said, yeah, we still waiting for the we bend, we don't break. Yeah, you that's facts. That's facts. Still waiting for my guest. My guest is Kev from brother named Kev from Real Nagas. His YouTube channel is Real REEL Nagas, and he got a lot of interesting spiritual, metaphysical information on his channel. So even after this interview, I want y'all all to go to his channel and support the brother. You can learn a lot from the brother. The brother's well versed in a lot of different areas of spirituality. Yeah, real as in REEL, not REAL, REEL. Yeah, I mean, I see no, not this one. Peace to that brother. Peace to you, brother, though. But Farmer V said you might want to remove any video that has the V in it. You know, I actually the 2 nights ago, I actually did that. A lot of videos, and I was pretty upset that it's come down to that. But it is what it is. But I had to remove a lot of videos because I see what kind of BS they on. So I had to remove a lot of videos that I know they might, they might try some craziness too. So I did. I'm glad you mentioned that. Thanks for saying that. But I did remove a lot of videos that had the V word in it. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. His page is light. You're right. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, yo, his take. I remember in December, I told everybody on my channel, I told everybody to go to his page. He had a breakdown on here, Stephen Baker, on the alignment, the great conjunction. And that video got taken down on his channel. The video he had went viral, and it was like, I think he had like 300,000 views or something. A lot of celebrities was sharing it. A lot of celebrities. I think I was one of the first ones to share it on my platform. I seen Black Dot share it. Then a lot of celebrities got on it, and the celebrities started sharing it, and it just went viral. And YouTube took that from him. But his breakdown on the conjunction was probably the best one I seen for 2020, for the 2020 conjunction. So that's why I was telling people about it, but YouTube took it from the brother. So that's not even up right now. Upload those videos to exclusive TV. Yeah, I'm looking around. I'm definitely gonna make a decision and do something. Find out where exactly I wanna, I wanna move next. For those of you who are Patreons, I got every Monday, I got something happening called Metaverse Mondays. That's where this whole internet thing, Web 3.0. If you joined the last cryptocurrency workshop, we was talking about Web 3.0 and where the internet's going and how the metaverse is going to be the new shit. Like if you're on social media or something, wait till the metaverse drops. Everybody going to be on it. Everybody going to be stuck and glued to it. So it's important that you learn about it and not get left behind. So we're teaching Metaverse Mondays every Monday on Patreon. We had 2 episodes so far. We took this Monday off. I might upload an episode tomorrow instead. But every Monday is Metaverse Mondays on Patreon. So all my Patreons, no offense, but Noble Ampu is the GOAT when it comes to astrology. Noble Ampu is one of the GOATs, but King Simon is dealing with numerology. So this is a little different. I agree with you. Ampu is the GOAT when it comes to astrology. We're talking about numerology now. But people be so quick to compare and get into that thing. We not see you even. I said King Simon is one of the best with numerology. Astrology, yeah, Ampool is dead hands down. That brother's amazing. I haven't talked to that brother in a while. Shout out to Ampool and Minister Jew. I haven't talked to them brothers in a long time. So shout out to them brothers. Yeah, I gotta see. Any questions before? Let me call this brother real quick, and let me see how this brother doing. Let me reach out to this brother, make sure he all right.
No, it's linking in right now. It's saying that it's trying to figure out the camera. I'm in the stream class.
All right, because I don't see you. I usually when you're in, I usually see you at the bottom. The person at the bottom. I don't see you right now. But
hold on, there it is. I'm in there. Saying camera. Asking me to use the camera.
Yeah, maybe once you give them permission to use your camera, maybe then I'll see you because I see why.
Oh, okay.
Did you give them permission to use your camera?
I am. I'm clicking on the shit. I ain't doing anything. Oh, there it is. Now it's coming up. Must be my computer moving slow as shit, man. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
But now I'm on camera.
Yeah, I still don't.
Really?
Yeah, I still don't see you. Yeah, I definitely don't see you. Give us a.
I'm clicking enter the studio. It's not. So I'm on camera and the mic is working.
All right. I see you now. All right. Add to stream. Yeah, he must have a real slow computer connection. I don't. Kev, like,
Yeah. What up?
Kev, man, when you got your computer in 1995, man?
Man, look.
Goddamn, Kev.
It is an older computer. I need to brush up on my shit. What's up, brother?
Yo, brother, it's a y'all hear the brother? Welcome to Black Magic, my brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate you.
Shout out to my brother Blue Pill. Shout out to my brother Blue Pill in the chat.
What up, Blue Pill?
Yeah, that's my brother, right? You ever heard of Blue Pill?
Yeah, man.
Okay, yeah. Blue Pill. We call him the 44 God. He knows the science to the number 44 and the algorithms of the universe and all of that. So that's the 44 God right there. But listen, family, I was telling the family about you, and I just got put onto your show in November or December, the beginning, right before the conjunction. And I told the family your video on the conjunction was one of the best video I seen on the conjunction on YouTube.
Thank you,
and I went months later and the shit was gone.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You obviously you know how it go.
yeah. I just told them about what happened. This is my first show on this channel, letting them explain them what happened. So they know what's up. You know what's up. You know what I'm saying? So we're not gonna even talk about that right now. Right. But everybody know what's up with that agenda and how desperate the agenda is at this point. I mean, desperate
right now.
Desperation.
This shit is insane.
But listen, man, I really, really, really need you to go in on the history of the Nagas. I hear so much about dragons and mythology and whether dragons. First of all, the weird thing is we have all these pictures and all these cultures and all this mythology and all the spiritual tradition of dragons.
Right.
But then they say dragons aren't real. Then they say the word niggas mean dragon. Then they say it's just so much about this word niggas and whether it's a good or a bad word. Niggas is bad. Some people say it's positive. It used to mean king. And some people say it used to mean serpent king. Then you look at Egypt and they had the serpent here and they said those are the Nagas.
Right.
Yo, we really need to understand what's going on with our ancient history, bro. Like beyond Egypt.
Right.
Start off for me, then as you talk.
For anybody who really want to get in depth on it, on my channel, I did a video called "Face of the Dragon" that breaks down the history of the Moors and how they equate Moors to phoenixes and dragons. So the mythology that you see as of a phoenix and a dragon today are literally Moors. They created that mythology off of the Moors, and so that goes back to. For the dragon side of it, that goes all the way back to, Kemet and the Uraeus, the serpent, the serpent on the forehead, which represents the third eye, which only basically represented enlightenment. So when you had that serpent on your head, that represented you have a higher class, not necessarily higher class, but have a higher consciousness, of that society. And so, only the higher, and this is the thing, back then, like you had to be of some true higher consciousness to attain that Uraeus, on your forehead. So, that's here, that was in Kemet. And so throughout the world, enlightenment, because of that third eye, because of what it means, it's that Kundalini when all of your chakras are aligned and that Kundalini energy flows up your spine and goes all the way up, and taps that crown chakra, but also that third eye. It opens up that third eye so that you're able to see. And, that symbol, the symbol of the serpent represented that throughout history in all the different cultures. Whenever you saw the serpent or, something like the dragon, that represented the enlightened people of that society. So all the people weren't that. That's the thing. So you go back to Ethiopia, and so that's where you get Negus, right? And so, or a lot of people call it the Nagas, but it's the Negus, and it's the sovereign or the king of Ethiopia. And so, we throughout history and time we had this language. So you go back to, what they call Asia today. And this is where they had the Nagas, and that was the serpent god. But also, again, remember the serpent just represented you were enlightened. So the different, just throughout the different cultures throughout time, it was all of the enlightened people were represented by this serpent type of being. And so it got transformed. This serpent got transformed into something negative later on down the line, but that's because they understood what that energy meant. And so they have to pervert that energy. So, they'll take Naga and turn it to nigger, which, that was also our term that represented, the Niger River and all of that over there. But they'll take these terms and throw a negative energy on it and then use it against you and make you think that this is something that you should be in fear of, or you should be offended by, when we called ourselves this to represent the enlightened, the higher enlightened, or the higher consciousness of us. Like, everybody wasn't that. So everybody used nigga today. Like, so this term Naga became nigga, but everybody uses nigga today, but everybody necessarily shouldn't be using that term unless you're on a higher consciousness path. That literally represents the higher echelon, the most enlightened people of that society. And so,
but Kev, real quick, besides the Kundalini aspect and the spiritual enlightenment aspect, I want to know, are actual, like, when you see movies, shows like Game of Thrones,
yes,
and they got, our dragons real? Like, there's so much stories about real dragons. Is there any truth to our history?
You are
real.
So you see, so the term dragon, let me see if I got right here. So the term dragon means eye, or it means clear sight or eye. That's literally what the word means. So it represented someone who had their third eye open. See, this is what we call us. This is the terms what we called ourselves. And so with, when we were the Moors and we were running everything on the planet, this is who we were. And, when we were running everything on the planet, we were the masters of this planet. So we, that included slavery. We were the first to institute slavery. And so we had, we subjugated most of the other cultures around the world, depending on who you were. You were either paying tribute, or you were the tributee, or you were, or you were the person getting the tribute. And so when you break down the different cultures, so let's take England, or like ancient, Europe, or old world Europe. So to them, the dragon, which was the Moors who came in and smashed on them, that took on a negative connotation. When you come in and you putting the smackdown on people, then this is where you get this evil, fire breathing, crazy ass dragon that you'll see plastered all over the place. It's because in that culture, to them, we represented something evil, because the Moors, we were no joke. We come in there, smack your shit up, take the goods, take the whatever we needed, and we would roll out. That was our thing. That's where you get midnight marauders from. That was from midnight Moor raiders, because the Moors would come in through certain towns in the middle of the night, smack you up, kill the men, take the women and the goods. If the men had skills, we would snatch the men up to put them in the armies or to make them work, and then we was out. And that's how we would roll up on towns like that. And so to those different people, we took on this negative connotation of this, this fire-breathing dragon. Also, the fire-breathing thing came from, we had gunpowder. So, we had gunpowder before anybody else, and we were using that against our, what we termed our enemies, which were, Christians or whoever else stood up against us. But that, shooting fire, we would shoot what they would call cannons. They would call them fire-breathing dragons, because they didn't have any of that type of technology. What the book that explains this, that gets into it, is Ancient and Modern Britons. So you want to get the book Ancient and Modern Britons, and I think it's book 2, and it talks about how we would shoot fireballs at them in the ancient times. So just so you know, Ancient and Modern Britons is written by a Caucasian dude, and he talks about this is the history of the lineage of the Moors in Europe. And so this is a Caucasian dude that wrote this in the 1800s, and he dissected the whole lineage of all these, these royal families, and found out that they all basically had to be descended from Moors. All these people you see as royalty, quote unquote royalty. And so, this is where that whole foundation comes from. But our technology was crazy. It was like literally when you talk about Wakanda, that was us. They knew that was our technology over them. When you see Wakanda, that's a representation of the Moors' technology over the rest of the world at the time. And that's why they thought we were doing magic and shit, because we just basically had science that they couldn't understand, shooting fireballs and shit like that. There's another movie, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Morgan Freeman plays a Moor in that movie. Y'all need to go check that movie. I mean, this is where they hide all of our shit, is in all the damn movies. And so in that movie, Morgan Freeman is a Moor who's helping Kevin Costner, who was a Christian, right? And you can see how the Moor, he's breaking out all this technology and showing it to Kevin Costner. Like they were getting ready to run from some cats who was coming to get him, and Morgan Freeman pulled out a telescope, and he was looking at it, and then he passed the telescope to Kevin Costner, and Kevin Costner pulled out, he looked through it and saw the dudes all close, and he pulled out his sword and started stabbing at the air. And then Morgan Freeman grabbed the shit back, and he was like, "It's a wonder how your people took Jerusalem." It's like, y'all some dumb motherfuckers. So we had all the technology over them. And so, when you have that type of technology, they're going to see you as some type of God. And so that was in the, in ancient Europe. And so in old world Europe, when we was coming through what they call the Middle Ages, more so at that time, or what they call the Dark Ages, because they call it the Dark Ages because the Moors controlled that area for hundreds of years, and they wouldn't this is the thing. Caucasians call it the Dark Ages because it was the Dark Ages for them. They got no knowledge. When the Moors ran these different areas, they would run the ports. And so none of the knowledge would filter in to the inner land where a lot of the Caucasian, where they were. So they went through this major dark age because we wasn't letting shit through. And so to them, from us being, having them in slavery, and when we had them in slavery, we had cats in slavery for thousands of years before they even knew what slavery was. we were the main cats putting the smack down around the world. So from that, from that struggle, from their point of view, this is where you get the negative connotation of the fire breathing crazy ass dragon coming through, smashing you up. The main movie that really breaks this down is Dragon Slayer. That's a movie from 1982. That movie has all of the symbolism. And so when you in the early 80s, the movies from the early 70s and 80s and 60s, those are the movies that are really breaking off shit, because those are the movies that had the Hollywood at that time had the secret societies running them. You had a lot of, even right now, there are a lot of Masonic temples just in Hollywood, only for directors and the people who work in Hollywood. So they take this information that they learn in these temples and they put it in the movies. Why? Because they have to tell you. That's the law. The karmic law is, if you have to do whatever you do, it has to be of your own will. So I have to tell you what I'm doing so that you choose that. But then how I present it to you, there's no law of how I present it to you. I can give you a bunch of bullshit and a little bit of truth, but I did give you the truth. So you can't say I didn't do it. It's up to you to research which side is what. So, in that aspect, we had all the damn knowledge. That's where we were negative. We were evil dragons to them. But in the East, when we brought all the knowledge, this is where we started, in the East, we started the Shaolin temples and all of that shit. Because you even today, you can go into an old Shaolin temple and you can see the first monks that started the Shaolin temple. They're all brothers. It's all brothers in the back, like dark skinned brothers too, bald head dark skinned brothers, and they're all on the oldest wall at Shaolin temple. And so,
have you seen it personally over there?
Huh?
Have you seen?
There's a monk, there's a brother who lives in, there's a dude who lives in Canada who was a Shaolin monk. He just went to learn Shaolin. He went to learn Shaolin Kung Fu. He was like, because his parents, he's Asian. His parents are from China, but he's Canadian. He's Chinese Canadian. And so this brother went to China to Shaolin Temple just to see if he can learn Shaolin. They let him in, and he was in there for like 4 years or something like that. And so he showed the picture. He was taking all these pictures in the camera, and he showed the wall. And when he passed by the wall, you can see the picture of all these brothers. It's like it's almost faded, but you can see them all in their robes. All these dark brothers on the Shaolin Temple wall. I'm like, that's the real niggas, Shaolin. And so in the East, and as far the Far East, we brought that knowledge. So the dragon in the Far East was represented as a golden dragon. The golden, anything that you see with light, gold, or anything like that represents enlightenment or knowledge. So that aspect, we're the golden dragon because we bought knowledge and science and all of that to that region. So these are the two forms of the dragon that you will see in history. You'll see this gold dragon and you'll see this dark, evil ass dragon. And you gotta understand which perspective that they're coming from. The East, the Chinese and all that, or the Asians, all that.
But in the secret societies, when you reach, I think the highest levels, they call them like the Grand Dragon and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The KKK and Rosicrucians and all them. The high dudes is always the Grand Dragon and all this other shit. You know what I'm saying?
Because they know that dragon means clear sight. The Grand Dragon is the one who can see more than the rest of the the temple. Right. And they understand that. But to us, they'll give us this perverted image of a dragon and call it the devil-like and evil and all this and that shit, so that you run from that simply. So they create that fear in you so that you run from it.
So do you think? Oh, real quick, I want to thank everybody who's donating via Cash App. I appreciate the support. Rich Mays, Taria, and Ben Owens. I appreciate it. So do you think in antiquity, like, because when we look at movies and we look at all this stuff in movies, a lot of people wonder when they see X-Men or Maul, they be like, damn, was this shit real? So have we ever, from your knowledge of history, have we ever had a history of just beyond just being the human species that we see today? Like, you see the shit X-Men could do, or you see people shape-shifting, like, with your research, like, who were we besides what we see today? If we was even this color, you know what I'm saying? Some people say we was green in antiquity. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, we weren't. So the thing is, the reason we're this color, and I just want to get this down straight.
Yeah.
You're not black. It's, for all you people out here who calling yourself black, you're not black. We need to understand that first off. That is a negative. That's a negative word. It means pale or yellow, and it's a term that they flipped onto us. This book, Ancient and Modern Britons, breaks that off too. How the term black used to mean subservient or slave. Someone who was slave or subservient called themselves black, and then the higher societies would call themselves. And there was an ancient term that was the equivalent of white. And so when you were white, that meant
what was that ancient term?
It was called AK. It was AK. So yeah,
like they be like, what up, AK? Like AK, like that.
AK before, if it had AK before that, the title of your tribe or town, whatever it was, that meant you were the higher society of that town. And so the ancient term for black was like Kerr. And so if you had that, like Steve Kerr, this lets you know where these ancient words come from. So that term, that word meant black or dark. And so you were the higher society as an AK, white, or you were the lower society, the subservient, the tributee, or which was the black or Kerr or whatever. And so this is where these terms came from. But the ancient, where we get our understanding of how us having superpowers. So the cats who created all the superheroes, and most of them, you got the main ones would be Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Stan Lee, everybody knows, is what I heard somebody call him. What your boy call him? Real estate agents. And so he was the real estate agent. And so that's how Stan Lee got in it, but Jack Kirby was a historian. He was an ancient historian, Egyptologist, and Sumerologist. He studied ancient Sumeria and Kemet, like deep, hardcore. And so when you go into his lectures and his, you know, the shit that he used to write personally, he used to talk about how he studied that, and he brought those ancient gods, the Neteru, you know, and the ancient Sumerian gods, you know, and put that shit in his stories. This is where all that shit came from. So literally the superheroes that you are seeing, literally he got from Africa. Like right now, the Eternals are getting ready to come out in November. In the Eternals, the Eternals basically represent the the Eternals, the whole comic book represents. So they were created by somebody called the Celestials. Right, the Celestials would have been the equivalent of the Anunnaki in ancient history, who in Sumeria they said the Anunnaki created humans on this planet to mine gold for their dwindling atmosphere. So he went and read all of this damn shit and created something called the Eternals. So the Celestials will represent the Anunnaki. The Eternals are really us. Because in the comic book, the Celestials created these people called the Eternals to watch over the planet. They gave them dominion over the planet, just like it says in the ancient Sumerian, how Sumerians created us and then gave us dominion over the planet. So the Eternals are really us. We are eternal. We keep on going. We are, you know what I'm saying? We are immortal. And so that whole representation is us. But the funny thing, the most powerful Eternal is a cat named Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is, it goes back to ancient Sumeria, what's called the Gilgamesh epics, which is the story of the flood and all that, where they get Noah from. So all of that ancient history, these niggas was reading that and like, oh shit, how can I flip that shit? Oh, all right, well, we just call it this, we just call it that, boom, 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 boom. And all this ancient stuff that we were doing was powered by our melanin. And so that's the main thing that they don't ever want to talk about. That's the secret that no one talks about, is the true power of what melanin can do. And as long as they keep that shit hidden, then we'll never know our true God power. If you don't understand what your melanin can do and what it is, the chemical that it is in the universe, how it's the base, most dominant chemical in the universe, and you have it literally flowing all over your body, but you don't know how to use it. They know this shit. They know this shit. This is where you get, what's the dude, the black gunk that took over Spider-Man, Venom. But it was a blob, a black blob that they got out of space, and he came over and took over Spider-Man and made him stronger and more powerful and more, but he made him more aggressive. See? And so this is their terminology, that melanated people are more aggressive. This is their perspective in history, but anytime something becomes darker, it becomes more powerful. And they got that from the research. This is a book that I have called this is the Great Book of Melanin Research. And this is the research that they've been doing on melanin for the last 116 years. They've been studying your melanin for 116 years formally in labs, just breaking this shit down chemically. And they have the shit that they found out that your melanin can do is like superhero shit. It's insane. Like your melanin can convert sound to energy. Which is, people don't even understand what that means. That means you can be in a completely pitch black room, a dark room, no light, because we think we get our energy from the sun. But if there was the universe plans for that. If we had no light, if you were in a completely dark room, you can stomp on the ground. Your melanin would absorb that vibration and convert it to energy for your body. This is where they get Black Panther. When you hit Black Panther with the vibranium, that's what vibranium is. It's melanin. It absorbs vibration and converts it to energy for your youth. They know this. They know this shit. This is why they won't release this science. They do a conference every 3 years called the International Federation of Pigment Cell Societies. Does a conference every 3 years where they discuss the science of the melanocyte, which is the melanin cell. You don't hear nothing about this shit. No melanated people really hear nothing about this goddamn conference. The funny thing is anyone can go. They don't block out anybody. If you can pay the money to go, anybody can sign up and go to this goddamn conference. And so this is where in that conference, all that research that's in that book comes from the conferences over the years that they've had. In that book, they said the reason for the civil rights movement was because your melanin was turned on. And so you got to understand these statements. They said your melanin was turned on like a switch, like so when we're all on one mind state, one frequency, our melanin goes to another state and starts communicating between itself. They said that shit
in the book in the conference. Wow.
So they like, we got to keep these niggas. Why they want to keep us apart? They got that piece of information came out in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yo, these niggas melanin is turned on. And we need to do something to break this shit up. And then shortly after, you see we get Superfly and all these black exploitation films and shit like that, where they prop one nigga above the rest. You want to be like that nigga. You don't want to get with the community. You want to be like that nigga. Get your money, get your pig, get your hoes, and do all that. And that's what you want to aspire to. And so that started to rip away, you know what I'm saying, the cohesiveness that we had coming up during the 60s and, in the 70s with the Black Power movement. And we were really vibrating at that time. And they knew they had to break that shit up. So again, that's your melanin being turned on, and they know this shit. And so that's why this is all the things that bring us into why we were so powerful that they called us dragons.
What's our connection to the we're talking about dragons. What's our connection to the Dracos constellation? We hear about Sirius. How is that tied in with our mythology, the Dracos constellation?
Well, Draco, I mean, again, it's just the dragon. So Draco literally means dragon. And so it's Draco, the constellation is more so how it's shaped. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily that beings have come from Draco here. Most of where they talk about, they come from like the Annunaki. Like, so the term, this is where you get into ancient, I do etymology. That's one of my main things. Mm-hmm. And so when you go back and you do these ancient terms like Annunaki, right? Mm-hmm. The letters an or ar or ak represented Saturn, right? These were different terms for Saturn. So the ancient Sumerologists will say Anunnaki means those who came from heaven to earth, right? So but the reason they're doing that is because they're terming the word Anu as heaven. And Anu meant Saturn. So if you really break it down, it means those who came from Saturn to earth. So this is where you get a lot of the Saturn shit that we see in the background and all this and that. But the term Draco, the star constellation Draco represented, because the constellation represented like a tail of the dragon. And so we would align everything that we did, we aligned to the stars. Ancient Kemet. There's another ancient Kemet here in not here, but in South America that kind of mimics that with bigger pyramids. That's Teotihuacan. I don't know if a lot of people know about Teotihuacan in Mexico City, but these are giant pyramids. They got something called the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. And these pyramids are actually aligned with the star constellation of Draco. And so, as you got the pyramids in Kemet that are aligned with Orion. So, these are, everything that we did, as far as the, us and representing the stars, is because we had to have an alignment with the universe. We understood that we cannot be out of alignment with the universe and have shit go right. And so, this is where that shit comes from more so, the Draco thing. But, it's just the dragon, and that's literally who we were. There's an ancient royal family called the De Veres. So there's a book called, let me see if I can find it. Oh, so there's a book called The Dragon Legacy. right there. So you're going to get this book. It's by Nicholas, right there, Nicholas DeVere. And so this dude, his family, the DeVere family, is an ancient royal family. Goes all the way back to like the Crusade times. Even even before that, this is when they started to become royal. And so they actually were royal because they linked in with some Moors. He has a video on YouTube where he talks about this. And he talks about because their family is termed as the dragon family, right? So that royal family, that bloodline, they're termed as the royal bloodline of the dragons. And he talks about the true meaning of a dragon. And this you gotta, man, if I could know
what he says in the book about the true meaning of the.
He says that, first of all, he breaks that down. He said most people think that dragons are evil, and they're not. He said this in this interview. This is not even in the book. This is an interview that's on YouTube. He said, dragon means clear sight or eye. It means your third eye. So you can only be a dragon if you have your third eye open. This is what he said. And then he said the true nature, though, of a dragon, he says, is when a dragon defeats or eats a dragon and becomes a phoenix. And so this is where you get the phoenix lore from ancient times, because you had, with us, we've always been yin and yang. So in ancient times, the dragon represented the most gangster of us, the ones who was willing to smack niggas up. that's the dragon, is the aggressive Moors. That's what that represents. You have phoenix Moors. This is the phoenix energy was more of the scholars and the artists and stuff like that of that time. And so you had battling philosophies of gangster is willing to smack you up quick. Like you talk crazy to a gangster, he's willing to smack you up quick. Then somebody more diplomatic may come in and try to talk you down a little bit, try to see what this situation is about. That was Phoenix cats. More cats was like, nah, nigga, want my money. And so the dragon cats kind of, they were more, they were in greater number than the Phoenix cats, because the Phoenix cats represent the cats who are, when you're more diplomatic and stuff like that, you're of a little higher consciousness when you don't resort to physical aggression first. That means you're a little bit on the higher consciousness. So dragon Moors were main in abundance. We would roll up on different cultures, smack you up with my money, with my bitches, with my shit at, and then we would roll out. Phoenix Moors, not so much. And so you had these two battling philosophies throughout time. And so it was the Phoenix Moors who understood the karmic backlash that we were having from going out and doing all this. You don't just do shit without karma. We these higher laws. We understood that. We know what this shit is, and we know you just can't be out there doing shit willy-nilly without having that energy come back. And so this is where you started to see the tide started to change, because again, understanding the karmic backlash, you can mitigate karmic backlash if you started first. So say if you did something wrong, it's basically the same principle as making amends for something that you did that was wrong. So that's so if you did some fucked up shit, believe that karma is going to come back on you, and usually it'll come back on you 3 to 10 times worse than what you did. But if you understand your error of your ways, and then you step in and you start to make amends for something that you did, then you alleviate, you stop the karmic backlash, because you're the energy that's doing it. You don't leave it up to the universe to bring it back on you. You're doing it. You're bringing back that energy back on yourself. So the Phoenix Moor cats, they understood that's where we were. We were like, oh shit, nigga, we fucking up, nigga. Like, god damn, these niggas over here crazy. They smacking the shit out of niggas. So we had to. This is when we started to share the information more. That was one of our main downfalls. We didn't share information. We was like, nigga, fuck them. They lower than us. We ain't giving them niggas no information. And so, you know what I'm saying? And that's how we were thought of as these main gods and these ancient gods. We didn't share information with anybody. But in doing that, you left your descendants to get out of control. And everybody wondered why are these motherfucking crazy, these white motherfuckers, these Caucasians so crazy and shit today. If you just leave your kids to do whatever, without teaching them how to live with the land, without teaching them science, without teaching them all this and that shit, they're gonna have to go learn it for themselves. They're gonna pretty much rip up your house If you don't teach your kids how to clean your house, they're gonna rip the house up until you sit them down and teach them how to clean the house. And so that's kind of what happened with the Caucasians. For years, we were just enslaving them. We weren't teaching them shit. We were like, nigga, come over here. We were just snatching them up. At some point, we saw how the tide was changing or the tide was turning, and we had to start teaching them because they were ripping up shit. They were, this is when they became all these barbaric tribes in the past, the Vandals and the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths. They were just, these motherfuckers were just rolling through the lands, ripping up shit. Didn't give a fuck, just tearing up shit, raping people, burning down shit. And so we saw that, and we were like, all right, we got to come in and teach these motherfuckers, or they're just gonna fuck up shit. And so this is when a lot of the information started to trickle in to their society. They didn't steal anything, they didn't conquer anybody to get the information. We gave it to them. Mm-hmm. And this is, what I'm saying, to mitigate the karmic backlash.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's shit from.
Yeah, what's the last thing you said?
I said, yeah, that's where we get that, that whole idea of the dragon, of the dragon and the phoenix, that negative, or the negative dragon. The dude who will smack you up first, and then the phoenix who will come in and try to talk you off the ledge. Then not that the phoenix won't smack you. The phoenix is if you have to, the phoenix will smack you, but they'll talk to you first. A good example of someone who was like that in ancient times was Saladin. Everybody, if you don't know who Saladin is, go look up Saladin. Saladin was the Moor who took back Jerusalem from the Christians. And so there's a movie called Kingdom of Heaven, and with Orlando Bloom. And so this is the whole story of Kingdom of Heaven, is how the Moors took Jerusalem from the Christians. And they pump it up and make it seem like the Christians was really trying to do some shit. But the actual story was Saladin, who was the greatest general, Moorish general back then. He was a very tempered dude, measured, a very measured dude. So he would only do as much damage as he had to. And so this is where when you call something called the golden dragon. So the golden dragon is the person who, with the aggressive military the aggressive military Moor with knowledge. And so they would only do all they had to do. So in contrast, when the Christians took Jerusalem, they came in and they killed everybody, even Christians. They said that the streets ran so high that you would be almost up to your knees in blood with everybody that they killed, that the Christians killed, right? And so, in contrast, when the Moors when Saladin came back and took Jerusalem, he was like, "Look, man, we don't want to kill everybody in there, nigga." Like, he's like, "Look, dude, we don't want to kill everybody in there. So look, give us Jerusalem. If y'all niggas want to stay, some of y'all can stay. You can still worship, whatever your God is, but you gotta give up Jerusalem, nigga." And that's how that's going down. Like now, whoever wants to leave, y'all can leave. Y'all want to stay and worship with your God, you can stay, but you're gonna give Jerusalem up, nigga. And that's how it went. But he gave him a choice to do this and that. So you see that in the movie. In the movie, they try to make it seem like the Christians forced him to make the deal by them fighting back from the walls of Jerusalem, that they put on this big defense, this great defense, so much that Saladin was like, shit, we ain't gonna beat them niggas, so let's go make a deal. That's not how it was. Saladin was a very measured dude. He didn't, he only instituted as much violence as he had to. Like with King Richard, he was battling King Richard. King Richard got sick. Saladin sent that nigga some medicine so they can keep battling. He's like, wake your ass up, nigga. Sent that nigga some medicine. Snow. Damn. He didn't snow. Sent that nigga some herbs. It was like, here, nigga. Get your ass better so we can fucking keep on fighting. So that's how Saladin was. That's a gold, and that's a representation of a golden dragon. Right. Someone who understood, who let knowledge rule first before aggression. You understand? So in the bastardization of the dragon, that was us letting our aggression rule over knowledge. And so this is where you see this evil dragon. Is when we didn't give a shit about the knowledge anymore. We were just coming in and knew we was gods, and we were smacking the shit out of everybody.
You ever, I don't really hear a lot of people in the melanated community talk about UFOs a lot. and that you hear a lot about space travel on the news. They said some billionaire just went. I don't know if they say he went to outer space, but somewhere up there. And the only person I really hear talk about UFOs now that's melanated is on a big scale is the minister, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Elijah Muhammad always talked about. He talked about the was it the wheel?
The wheel. Yeah.
What's your take on our connection? We mentioned Saturn. Some people say a white dude said one time, I heard him say that he seen black people on Saturn or something. Like you seen that video? He seen like 8-foot black people on Saturn. I gotta find that video. Somebody in the chat, I know exactly who I'm talking about. But what's our connection with UFOs and space and all that stuff? Since it seems that topic is dominated, is getting ready to dominate the news headlines. So I just want to know what's our connection to UFOs.
Well, the ancient history says that we were created by aliens, what they deemed as aliens. The Anunnaki again came here from their planet, wherever that is, because their atmosphere was dwindling down. They came from like a binary star system, which was 2 stars in the sky. And they came here to mine gold so that they could shoot it into their atmosphere to reflect the rays, the UV rays that was coming down on their planet. So again, this is all in the ancient tablets. So the ancient tablets that you will find from Sumeria are called the Enuma Elish, the Tablets of Creation, and the Gilgamesh Epics, which is the story of the flood. And so in the Enuma Elish, that talks about how the Anunnaki came here to create humans as slaves to mine the gold. So this is why we were created. That's why I say slavery has been around since the very beginning of our history. Like humans were created as slaves for the Anunnaki to mine gold. What happened though is they say in ancient history, the Anunnaki came here and they were mining the gold themselves, right? So there were different classes of Anunnaki. And so the upper, just like this is where your class system, it doesn't come from here. That's also extraterrestrial, if you want to take it back far enough. So the extraterrestrial, the Anunnakis, had class systems. There was the ruling class of Anunnaki, which the main motherfuckers we hear about, the ones you see on the walls in Sumeria, and the big swole niggas they look like Ashford Simpson and shit from back in the day. Who all y'all know who Ashford Simpson is? Ashford and Simpson. But those were the upper echelon. Those were the higher royal castes. And then there was a lower class of Anunnaki called the Igigi or the Igigi. And those were the slave Anunnaki. And they put them niggas to work. And after so much of the backbreaking work, they went to the upper class, like, hey, nigga, this is bullshit, nigga. Like, nigga, fuck this mining gold, nigga. We ain't doing it. And so that kind of put the slave Anunnaki or the lower class Anunnaki against the upper class. They kind of had a battle, and of course, the upper class Anunnaki smacked most of them niggas up. And so then from doing that, the lower Anunnakis didn't want to work anymore. So they had to create a new being to mine the gold because the upper class Anunnaki wasn't about to do it. So, this is where you get, they created humans, going to the lab, fixing us up, and they created these humans to mine that gold. And so hold up. So the Anunnaki created what we call the black man, and the black man created what we call the white man, and the white man creates what we call AI. So it's like so artificial. It's still So in back in that time, we would be considered artificial
AI. Yeah, AI. We was the original AI.
We were the original AI from the Anunnaki. And so much so they like if you go read the translations, man, they used to clown us. Like the Anunnaki was some assholes. They wasn't some like cool ass motherfuckers. They was some assholes. They used to talk shit. They used to call us like equivalent of monkeys and shit. So Anunnaki was some cold niggas. Some of them. Then some of them were cool too. But a lot of the ruling class Anunnakis was from they didn't give a fuck. And so the ruling class of the world today, they know this history. This is the history they don't want to tell you about, but they follow this stuff. This dude right here. So this dude, he talks about how they got that power from the ancient Anunnakis and all that type of stuff, but also a brother named Lawrence Gardner Okay, look him up. His name is Lawrence Gardner. He was the historian for the royal families, and he does all these different documentaries, these videos or lectures, talking about what he learned, because he was the documentarian. So he would read all these ancient family books and lore and shit while he was recording this stuff, and he broke that shit down. He was talking about how they have, I mean, y'all need to go look this dude up, Lawrence Gardner, how the rituals that they do, the royal family rituals that they do, how they equate themselves to the ancient Anunnakis. Their whole families is run off of this shit. Their whole families are run off of this shit. Like, so to be royal, your family has to be descended from Moors, but that Moorish line somehow or another has to go back to ancient Sumeria, which is crazy. This is the shit they don't be telling you about. And he broke all of this stuff down. Lawrence Gardner, and he's talked about how they consume white gold and in their little rituals, and all these little blood rituals and shit that the families do. So they know this knowledge over us. This is one of the things they know over us. Also, the other thing that they have over us is they understand how the solar system used to be. They've given us this false history of how the solar system was. Oh, the Big Bang, and then the sun spit out the rocks, and these rocks swirled and they cooled until they became the planets and all this and that bullshit. What they don't tell you is that Saturn used to be our sun. It used to be the.
I asked that question a lot because I've heard it several times. Okay.
Yeah, Saturn used to be this planet's sun. It was
Earth, the sun for Earth.
Yeah, the sun for Earth. So back in this time. So if you want to look this up, the people who have been doing research on this for the last 30 years, writing books and documentaries, it's a video called Symbols of an Alien Sky. Go look, it's a 3-parter, but the first part really breaks down this whole shit because it goes into the ancient history of from the beginning of how we used to talk about this immovable sun, this stationary sun, which we call the pole star, because it stayed right up in the sky, like the needle, Cleopatra's needle, and Kemet. It was directly under Saturn. It was positioned right under Saturn, so it was like a focal point. So when everything moved, it moved around. We all moved at the same point. We were on the same axis as Saturn. Matter of fact, it was Saturn, Venus, Mars, and Earth were all on the same axis and moved. Whenever we moved, we would move together at the same time. And so, this is the ancient history that they don't tell you about, because this knowledge keeps them in power. And so Saturn at that time, even though it was because Saturn is a big ball of gas, just like the sun, it's just not ignited. So it has the same exact chemical makeup as our sun, but it's just not lit into a fireball, and they don't know why it's not. But it still does reflect light, very dim light, but it does reflect light. So when Saturn was in the sky, it was radiating this very dim light.
Like purplish or something.
Yeah, but not necessarily purple, but very like dim. Like it wasn't a very, like the sun, how we get very super bright like this. It wasn't like that. It was a very dim light. Matter of fact, the word shine means dim light. Like, so we get the word, we think shine means to be bright. It doesn't mean that. Shine actually means dim light. It's the light that you get right before dusk or dawn or sunset. It's a very dim light. And so that was the light that used to shine on the earth. And so it wasn't a very bright light. Our sun was still radiating light, but we didn't know that our sun was there because the positions of the planet at the time, we couldn't see that sun. And so then after the planets started to move, and this is when you get in ancient history where they say, and the gods in the sky fought. That's because the planets started to move position. And when planets move position, they wreak havoc on each other because of their electromagnetic field. So when these planets would move, like say Mars and Venus would move, those electromagnetic fields would cause crazy havoc on Earth. So that's when they would say the gods are angry and they punish the Earth. That was because when these planets started moving around, we started getting floods and earthquakes and all kind of shit like that. But what happened was Saturn, the position that Saturn was in, was overtaken by Jupiter. right? So they call this in ancient history the fall, the great fall of Saturn, or the fall of the great father, or when the father fell to the dark side, right? Because it fell from, it was at the northern hemisphere, then it fell to the southern, right? And so this is now we're about to get into Star Wars and shit like that. This is where your ancient lore comes. This is why Star Wars is the biggest goddamn property in history. It's like a religion, because it's telling the true story in a, you know, in a roundabout way. It's telling the true story of the ancient history of the planet. And so when Saturn fell to the dark side, so when all the planets moved and Saturn fell, Jupiter took its place, we were able to see the sun that we worship now as life, you know, as the Father, whatever. We were able to see that sun, and we were like, "Oh shit, nigga, that's the real sun. What the fuck? That's the real dude. Why the fuck we worshiping that? When this nigga, okay, we fucking with this nigga right here. Fuck Saturn, right?" And so this is where you get, you know, so in Star Wars, so you got Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, right? So Darth Vader means dark father, right? That's what in I think it's German. I think it's German or Dutch or something like that. It means dark father. And so that's because Saturn was the father at first. And then it fell to the dark, it fell to the southern hemisphere where they call fell to the dark side. Saturn fell to the dark side. Then Luke Skywalker, on the other hand, when Saturn fell to the dark side, the true sun came out. But this wasn't a stationary sun that stayed in the sky. It moved across the sky. So that's why you get Luke Skywalker. Because Luke in Latin, L-U-C, is light. So it's the light that walked across the sky as opposed to the sun that we were used to that stayed there, that was just chilling. And so this is your Star Wars ancient history that they're seeping to you, and it resonates with your body so much that men folks like, nigga, this shit is off the chain real, but you have no idea why it resonates with you. That's because it's telling you the true history of the planet Earth. You know, and by keeping that from you, though, they keep you out of harmony with the universe. While they know all this shit, they're in the back worshiping, doing all of this shit, while you up here doing some bullshit.
What we're talking about is too important, family. Any trolls in the room? I don't even know how the trolls made it to this channel. Like, how did y'all make it to this channel already? Like, damn, but you will get blocked if you be disrespectful in the chat room. I ain't got time today. Just don't have time today for the foolishness. So, Kev, give me a timeline. When did Saturn fall and we get this new sun as our central sun? What time frame is this? Is this pre-dynastic? When did this happen?
Oh man, this is early right after this, like early Sumeria. So in ancient Kemet, they would call, so you have Amun-Ra, right? And there was also Atum-Ra.
Yeah.
Atum-Ra was Saturn. See, so it goes even way back there. Atum-Ra was Saturn. It was the stationary sun. It didn't move. Amun-Ra, which is the hidden sun, because the reason it's called Amun-Ra was because we couldn't see it. But when Saturn was in its position, we couldn't see it. When Saturn moved, we were able to see it. That's why it's called Amun. It was the hidden sun. So you get it goes all the way back then to these times, and you see the ancient cultures write about all these catastrophes. Even not just in. You'll get in Greek mythology, it'll talk about how Zeus and Ares and all these, these ancient gods, they fought in the sky in the pantheon, and they were always wars, and they would come down and wreak havoc on the humans just to play tricks and havoc on the humans and all that. That's from the Greek, but they got that shit from us. That was written on the walls. That was written on the walls in like Kemet and in our ancient cultures. We would the certain wheel. So anytime you see that the circle with the star blast and the little small circle in the middle of the star and the star blast, that represented the alignment of Saturn, Venus, and Mars. And so Saturn, Venus, and Mars, when they came together at that time, it would look like a giant eye in the sky. And so this is where that eye in the sky came from. Literally, Saturn right behind it looked like the white part of the eyeball. And then Venus and Mars together looked like the iris. And so I'm telling you, that's why you got to go see this documentary called Symbols of an Alien Sky, because they recreate this whole shit and you'll be able to see this. And so this is where
Is that from the Thunderbolts? That's the Thunderbolts project?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah. There you go. Thunderbolts project.
I seen that years ago. That's when I first heard that from them about Saturn used to be the sun. Okay, all right.
And this dude, the scientist, he had been talking about that since the 60s, late 50s, 60s. He had been doing that research about Saturn. They was trying to kick him out and push him out, and then other scientists throughout the 70s and 80s started to jump on, like, man, this nigga got some shit, man. This is like this is and so then they started to have these battling philosophies within the science community, in the space community, whether, what was the real history of our galaxy? Was it what these bullshit niggas are saying, or all the evidence that we see today? All the ancient cultures in society used to talk about this immovable sun, the sun that never moved throughout that stayed there. It was always there, no matter what happened. That nigga was always there, and that was Saturn. And so, again, when they're in harmony with the ancient history, galactic history that we live in, they're in alignment. When they can follow this shit, they're in alignment. We are not. We're in a chaotic state, and we don't understand the history and the energies of where all this shit came from. We're just out here fucking around.
My question to you, when you talk about the Anunnaki, and you say they used us they created us as a slave race. If we have this melanin in us, we're literally dark matter animated. I'm this primordial substance. I'm before the universe. So how the fuck you gonna sleep on me? How am I a slave? How if you create me and I got this primordial substance flowing all throughout me, what makes humans so weak? If I got what came before this universe within me, how am I so weak as a human then to these alien species or extraterrestrials?
Because the people who created you have that same shit, and they had it way longer than you did. The Anunnaki is far more advanced than if they are able to. Just think about this: if any alien is able to travel from their place to yours, they get just right there. They're way more advanced than you. We can't go nowhere right now. We can't go from planet to planet.
Well, it doesn't make them more advanced. They may know how to use their shit better. Like, they may know how to use their technology better. Like, I don't know how advanced our technology is. What I do know is we don't know how to tap into it. Like, I hear all types of things we're able to do: levitate, fly, all of this shit. But for whatever reason, we don't know how to tap into it.
Well, no, we don't. Well, we do have there. So this on the levitation side of the game. We levitate in basketball all the time. It's called hang time.
That is true.
Like, what the fuck is you? What the hell is hang time? If I'm hanging in the air, it's called levitation.
Vince Carter. Oh, Mike.
Vince Carter. Thank you, Vince Carter.
Good point. Yeah.
Sean Kemp, and crazy cats like that. So that's levitation. When we just spontaneously do it, just out of nowhere, because we're vibrating. The cats on the court, the melanin is vibrating. No look passes. It's your melanin communicating to each other. The frequencies vibrating between each other and shit like that. This is why they didn't understand. Like, how the fuck does this nigga see this nigga and he didn't even look at it?
Yeah.
Because our melanin is communicating. I know that nigga's there. I feel him.
Yeah.
I feel that nigga there. So that's the that side of as far as the levitation. But also there's a brother named Edward Leedskalnin. Ed Leedskalnin. Y'all need to look this brother up. He wrote a book called Magnetic Current. So damn. Thought I had it. But he created a book called Magnetic Current. So he's the dude who built the Coral Castle in Florida. So, and y'all need to go look this dude up. Ed Leedskalnin was like he weighed 130 pounds, 140 pound dude, little small Caucasian dude. He built the Coral Castle by himself at night. Nobody knew how the fuck he did it. But he said how he did it. He was like, oh yeah, I was levitating this shit like they did in Egypt. He said he went and studied ancient Kemet and found the secrets of electromagnetism and levitation, and that they did in Egypt, how they built the pyramids, and he just used that same science of how they built the pyramids to build his shit. This is all this thing. He wrote a book. It's called Magnetic Current. I think you can get it on Amazon. Very thin book, but it tells you it's more like a science book. It tells you how to levitate shit. And so he built this, lifting crazy ass boulders and shit in the middle of the night. So there were some kids who used to spy on his property when he was doing this. And they were recorded, interviewed as saying that they only saw him doing it. Like when they were spying on him, they didn't see anybody there. They only saw him, and they saw him. What they saw there, he had some type of black box that he would have there, and he would flip it on. He would do something, flip this black box on, and then he was able to just move the rocks through the air like this. And so he talked about it, and he talks about it in his book. So, levitation, it's a science that's been around for a minute. We understand that science, but we do this shit naturally. But they know how to, the science that's been created behind it they've been using this shit forever.
Speaking of the black box, what's up with the we in 2020, one of the most, this year is going to stand out in terms of the last 20-30 years. 2020 was a hell of a year, and in that year, one thing we seen pop up was the black cube, and we seen pictures of the black cube in the sun, and Ice Cube started talking about the cube, and we seen people putting up black cubes on Instagram. What's the deal with the black cube? Because isn't that tied in with Saturn also?
Yeah, that's Saturn. There's a cube in the center of Saturn. There's a rotating cube, dark cube in the center of Saturn. And so this is where that whole, again, the Saturn worship comes from. The reason, now just so y'all know, the reason that they worship Saturn, when I mean they, I'm more so talking about
the small hats.
Yeah. Thank you. Small hats. You understand there was something called Saturnalia. If anybody knows what Saturnalia. So Saturnalia was the celebration of Saturn that they used to have every year, what you call Christmas. Now, this was truly the ritual of Saturnalia, where they would come together, it was about worshiping Saturn, but Saturn was known as, at that time, for them, it was a reversal energy, which everything flipped. So in Saturnalia, the slaves became the masters for a certain amount of time. So, you were the noble, you were a noble class, and you had slaves. During Saturnalia, you had to agree to be the slave for however long Saturnalia went. You had to make do whatever, pretty much, to a certain extent, do pretty much whatever your slave said. You'd make them food, do all kind of shit. Then also, the gay thing was also able to happen. It was, they was able to, molest kids, little boys, and all this type of shit was going down during the Saturnalia, right? This is actually where you get the purge from too, because the slaves would actually go to the nobles' houses and be able to raid their houses during Saturnalia. And so this is where that whole purge shit come from. But during Saturn, again, they were able to flip the energy. It was the masters, the slaves become the masters. And so in that aspect, if you understand how the Moors were the masters of, we ran the world, we were the masters of the world. This is why they worship that Saturn energy, because it's flipped. So we worship Saturn when it was in its high point, right? There's worshiping, or not, and don't worship Saturn, but use its energy, right? So when we use Saturn's energy, it was at its high point. They started worshiping Saturn when it fell to its low point, the dark side. And so if you understand that they're the flip energy of us, they can't use the energy that we use the same way. It won't work for them. They're of a different vibration. They have to use it the opposite of how we use it. So this is why they, like even in their ancient, not ancient, but in their lore, like the small hats lore, there's a brother called there was an ancient dude called Sabotage V. Right, he lived in 1666, and he declared himself the Messiah. Right, in 1666, he told all the Jews, "Hey, niggas, I'm the nigga." I came down here, I manifested, right? So he got about 1 million people to follow doing that. He was going across the land, just drumming up followers. And the Sultan at the time saw how powerful he was getting. So he goes, he called him, you know, to the Sultan, to the castle or whatever. And he says, yo, man, you need to convert to Islam or we're going to have to kill you. You get too powerful out here in the game, nigga. So you convert to Islam or you got to go. And so, of course, he was like, hey, nigga, salam alaikum, my nigga. He was in there, all right, nigga, salam alaikum, God. And so he was like, hey, he went back out and said, hey, nigga, we all Muslims now, nigga. But on the low, he would call these little meetings on the low and say, we're not giving up Judaism. We're going to be something called crypto Judaism, right? So we're just going to hide our worship of, you know, in Judaism. And so on the surface, we're going to look like we're Muslims. On the low, in our houses and in our private meetings, we'll still be worshiping, doing what we're doing. And so at that point, you know, he did that, flipped it, created the crypto Jews. He died. Then another brother named Jacob Frank came in and took over his movement. And so in the Jacob Frank movement, this is where everything started to get perverted because they were following some ancient rabbi who used to talk about how so their ancient lore is that God has, you know, in order for God to come back, you know, there's so much good in the world, right? There's so much good that you have to do the opposite, or the balance is use up the evil. And so because good and evil are the same, they in their lore, they believe that good and evil are the same. And so if there's so much good in the world, then we have to do this evil shit in order for the Messiah to be able to come back. Because if there's not enough evil in the world, he won't come back. So their whole thing is, let's do what is considered evil. And that includes pedophilia and, you know, and all the rest of that shit. This is what they believe in the Jacob Frank cult. You got to go look this up. It came from Sabotage V, trickled on down to Jacob Frank. And this is the cult. This is what you have to running the world today. That whole crypto Judaism thing is running the world today. And so, you know, you don't, on the surface there, hey, you know, we're all this and that, but on the back end, this is what they believe. We have to use up the evil in the world in order for the Messiah to come back. And so this is, again, the flip. Again, this is, you know, if we're doing good, then they got to be doing bad. And they understand they can't work the energy the same way. If they're the opposite vibration, they have to work the energy the opposite. So this is the crazy shit.
This some interesting stuff he talking about, man. This some real interesting stuff, brother.
Man, if you understand how this shit trickles down on, you know, what they present to you out on the surface, and then, you know, what they're doing on the low, it is completely opposite. They have to get you thinking one way. And again, for us too, the funny thing about this is when they worship in Saturn on its, you know, the lower part of Saturn, because everything has duality. It's positive and negative. So they're worshiping Saturn again at its fall, which we would call the low side. But in order to do that, they still have to get our energy involved in it, right? They have to get, because we're the most powerful people, you know, on this planet, you know, especially when we're emotional. Our emotional energy, there's nothing like it. We get behind shit emotionally, that shit hot, right? So they get us in on the Saturn worship. How do they do that? With the goat talk. How, you know, the goat, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Capricorn, the symbol of Capricorn is the goat. So this is why you see the goat out there constantly all the time. The goat talk. Who's the goat? Who's the goat? Who's the goat? Then, you know, LeBron. They put LeBron out there for you to worship. We'll get into, you know, the symbols that they put out there. So first, we'll get into Michael Jordan first. So Michael Jordan, who did he play for? Chicago, right? So in ancient history, ancient lore, the bull is called Moloch, right? Moloch is the bull. That's Abraham was going to sacrifice his child to in the Bible. And then some came down and said, no, you don't have to do it. I just want to see if you was going to do it or not. But that was Moloch, right? Moloch is the bull that, that they worship. Moloch also represents Saturn. Moloch and Saturn, same thing. So then that's, the Chicago bull. And also the old symbol of Chicago bull, there was an old bull with a ring through its nose. So anytime you see that ring, that's also Saturn representation. So Michael is in Christianity, it was he who dares to be like God, right? But El is Saturn. So it's really he who dares to be like Saturn. So this is why Michael Jordan is pumped up as the GOAT of all, as the GOAT of all time. And so they get us worshiping that energy. You understand? They use any symbols that they put out and they get us to go along with, they use that energy. This is ritualistic shit that they do. Y'all
all the Moorish brothers use the L though, right? All the Moorish brothers use the L in their name, right?
Yeah, they do. But L goes all the way back before that. It means Saturn. L, the furthest use for L was Saturn. And so but again, like I said, Annunaki means those who came from Saturn. So and then that's actually where the Moorish, the ancient Moorish, history goes back to the Annunaki. The fez that Moors wear goes back to the Annunaki. You look on the ancient Sumerian walls, he's wearing a fez. The ancient Anunnaki is wearing a fez and turbans. That's where that shit comes from. Right. So that's where we get our shit from. But so you see the Moloch, then also the owl represents Saturn. And so this is where you get the owl on the dollar, the owl on the dollar bill, or in the Bohemian Grove where they worship that giant statue of the owl. That's Moloch. And they even in the ritual, they're sacrificing the child. They're sacrificing the child to Moloch. But in that ritual, I would suggest everybody go pull up the Alex Jones video of the ritual, because you can hear what he's saying in the ritual, because they know that they're fucking up throughout doing bad in the world. What that ritual is for is so they can stave off the karmic backlash that they have from doing all this fucked up shit. I'm telling you, go watch this ritual. They talk about karma and how they know that they can't run from it forever. But with the power of my brothers here, I'll be able to alleviate to elude you for one more year. So this is why they have to come together every year to do the ritual, because they know they're doing fucked up shit in the world, and they do this ritual to stave off the karmic backlash. It's called dull care. So they kind of sacrifice their cares, that the fucked up shit that they're doing to the world, the cares of it, they sacrifice their cares so that they don't have to get the karmic backlash. This is some ill science y'all don't understand that they're doing. They're working all this ritualistic, energetic science, doing all this shit. You have no idea. You ain't doing none of it. But they're using your energy behind this shit. And so that worship of Moloch and the bull and all of that shit, the owl, all of that is Saturn worship. And they get us behind it. It's Saturn worship when Saturn is at its lowest point. And so they get us behind that shit, putting our energy behind the low vibration when, we supposed to be on the high shit. But nigga, that Saturn worship is ill.
You mentioned earlier, you mentioned us not needing the sun to absorb light, and you brought up the example of stomping the floor and absorbing the sound from our stomp. So what's the most powerful way to absorb light besides the sun? Like, say if we live in a climate or area where we don't get much sun, and in the hospital they always say we vitamin D deficient. Every black person that go there, they be like, yo, you vitamin D deficient. So how can we absorb more light if we're not getting sunlight? The best way, you think? Well,
getting sunlight is the only way for you to get light. But your melanin doesn't need light for energy. See, this is the misconception that you need light for energy. Melanin converts all forms of frequency into energy for your body. So like we were saying, sound, just even heat. If you're in a hot room, your melanin absorbs the heat and converts it to energy for your body. It's a superconductor. Your melanin is a superconductor. That's what this is the research that they found. So you got semiconductors. So the difference between a semiconductor and a superconductor is In a semiconductor, when energy is flowing through a semiconductor, it loses power from point A to point B through heat. So the heat that it generates as it's moving through whatever medium that the energy is flowing through, the heat that it generates is called loss of energy, right? So it's not as powerful from point A when it gets to point B as it is in point A, right? That's semiconductor. A superconductor is when point A and point B are vibrating at the same frequency, so that the energy that moves between them is 100%, no loss. And it can go back and forth between those 2 points forever. As long as those 2 frequencies are in harmony, energy can flow forever between those 2 points. And so they found that, so the biggest thing is when they create superconductors, when they create superconductors, meaning energy that can flow between 2 points without loss, they have to freeze the medium to like 450 degrees below zero, right? So that it doesn't lose the heat. And so their whole thing is they're looking for something called a room temperature superconductor. That's melanin. Your melanin is a room temperature superconductor. All we have to do is just be on the same frequency. This goes back to the civil rights movement. In the civil rights movement, we were all vibrating on the same mind and same frequency. And so that basically turned what they say, it turned our melanin on. That's what we were doing. We were superconducting, which is why it was so powerful. In the Black Panthers were all one vibration. So you understand you're an electromagnetic being. And so when you get the same points of magnetism, if you look up the science of a magnet, when you get the magnetic, when you get the magnetic points all flowing in one direction, that's when it magnetizes. If you got the negative points and the positive points and they're going different ways in the magnet, it's not magnetized. So this was us. When we're on one accord, that shit can't be stopped. They understood that. They learned that from the 60s. Remember, they learned from their lessons. They say, oh shit, okay. They did this shit in the 60s and the 70s. We ain't gonna let them motherfuckers get together again at this time. And this is why they're so scared of Black Lives Matter, which is why they had to co-opt the Black Lives Matter movement, because take control of it so that it didn't get to a point that they couldn't control it. Because when we're vibrating on one level, we're superconducting, and that is hell for them. That's the death for them.
This is why they never like a group of Black people together. Like,
Man, they again, you understand the research that they were doing was funded. It was funded by somebody privately. All this damn melanin research was funded by somebody. They ain't just in the lab in their garage doing this shit. You talking about billions and billions of dollars funded into what your melanin does. What the fuck does this do? Melanin is so powerful. When they tried to research it, they tried to break it open with a laser, and it wouldn't burst. It shattered into like a gang of pieces of what it already was. They couldn't penetrate the cell.
Damn.
That's how strong your melanin is. It is the most powerful chemical in the universe. When I'm telling you this, I'm literally talking about reading this straight from the scientist's mouth. They were talking about in the future about the different melanins in the species, so in the animal, so in plant kingdom you have allomelanin, and in the animal kingdom the darkest melanin is called eumelanin, and then the lighter melanin is called pheomelanin, right? That's what Caucasians have. When you see Caucasians with red hair and all that type of shit, they got pheomelanin. So everybody does. So just so y'all know, everybody does have melanin. Some people have more than others. And so, but they were talking about how they did a pyramid of the future in different species and who would be alive in the future. And at the very top of the pyramid, this is in the melanin book. At the very top of the pyramid, they said melanated man will be the last remaining man on the planet. And they talk about themselves. They talk about how they're dying out. They said that they're dying out in the book. So when you see this type of stuff and they're discovering this type of stuff in the lab, they're not keeping this shit to themselves in the lab. This research is funded by somebody. So this research is going to bigger bodies of motherfuckers who are controlling us, and they're like, "Oh shit, we dying the fuck out." Okay, what the fuck we got? All right, we got to. Oh well, we're dying out. Then we got to institute some type of population control so that we can keep the levels even. So how do we do that? Sterilization, put chemicals in the food, fuck up the melanated family structure. All of these different things, produce population control for them, because they understand they were doing lectures in colleges for the last 3 years of how, because in America, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in America there were more Caucasian deaths in the last 3 years than births, which means you're dying out. And so they're going through colleges doing these lectures of how they're dying out and what can we do to not, to keep our numbers up. But in order to keep their numbers up, they just can't do whatever they do just to keep reproducing. Especially if the other population is producing way more than you still, no matter if you still producing, these motherfuckers is out. So I have to stop them niggas from producing while getting our own numbers up. And so this is where the hokey pokey.
We ain't even gonna talk about that. That's why I'm on this channel right now talking about that. So y'all know exactly what Kevin's talking about.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
That's where that comes in.
Yo, Kev, I want to get to a couple of questions from the people before we get out of here. I always got some extremely intelligent people in the chat, besides a couple of trolls who have no lives. So I want y'all to ask the brother. I'm gonna take a couple of questions from the chat. Give me a couple of questions, family. In the meantime, I'm gonna get to a commercial real quick, and we're gonna be right back, family. Wait a minute, I don't even think what happened to it. Okay.
This is Billy Carson with Forbidden Knowledge, Inc. And I want to announce an amazing giveaway. I am going to be giving away a 2013 Rolls-Royce Ghost on December 18th, 2021. All you have to do to enter is go to forbiddenknowledge.com. That's forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4. Click on giveaways and register and buy your ticket for a chance to win a Rolls-Royce Ghost on December 18th, 2021. It's going to be an amazing giveaway, and it will be held at the Holman Motor Cars, where they actually sell the Rolls-Royce in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'll see you there.
All right, shout out to Billy with the Rolls-Royce giveaway. Also, family, the stock and options course, if you're interested, the link is in the description. If you're interested in learning about options and how to trade options, do the calls and the puts. If you've seen the movie Trading Places from way back in the day with Eddie Murphy, that's what they was doing. The futures and the options and the futures.
Y'all better get in that. I'm telling you right now, that is the top game in the world that they keeping from you right now. I'm telling you, right? The stock game.
That options, man. I know a couple of brothers getting some big money with them. I'm playing them options, man.
And this is the regular stock game, and the options are it is yin and yang. They'll tell you they're getting in the stock that it's like gambling and all this and that, and because there's long-term investment. That's you buying regular stocks and hoping that shit goes up over a certain amount of time. But then there's, like you said, there's options to where you don't have to spend the price of the stock, but you can buy way more stock without having to spend the actual price for the stock, and get paid. Options pay out 300, 400, 800% on your money.
I'm trying to tell them, man. That shit is serious business, man.
To put it real quick, we did ops. I'm in an investment group with some other people. We did $300 option on AMC, made $4,000 bucks.
Whoo, from $300.
$300. That's bam. Or $300 option. We made $4,000. That lets you know how powerful that game is. You don't even need to use your own money if you open up a margin account. You use a little money to open up the account, but when you open up a margin account, you're able to borrow from the stockbroker to use that account to buy stock. So it double. So if you have like some companies do double your money. Some companies do 4 times. So if you like put $2,000 in, you know, you can buy $8,000 worth of stock, and you know, and on up. And so this is the game that the Caucasians use that they don't even tell you about. They don't need money. They can go in, borrow money from the stockbroker, you know, make money off of that shit, and just pay the stockbroker back by off the profit that they make. They don't need money at all. And I'm like, how the fuck niggas don't know about this? We the biggest hustlers in the universe. And we found this is why they know. They had to change the language and made it all complicated.
Yeah, they make it complicated. Something so simple, they make it sound so complicated with all these terminologies.
Yep, the term, but you get, so let real quick. Y'all want to break down the terminology of the stock market? Get this book right here. It's called The Dictionary of Finance and Investment Terms. Barron's Dictionary of Finance and Investment Terms. This book is so goddamn valuable, you can barely find this book. It is the industry book for understanding the finance game, stocks and bonds and all that. And it's so ill. It comes out every 4 years. This book only comes out every 4 years. And because they change the lingo every 4 years, because you understand in the finance game, if you're not able to speak the language, they won't let you through the door. That's the gatekeeper, the language.
Yeah, the language.
The finance language is the gatekeeper. So if you're not able to speak these certain terminologies on your paperwork, they know you. They know you're not one of them. And so this funny thing is, so this book, the last book, was 2018 that just come out. So they got another one getting ready to come out next year. But the last one was 2018. This is an 8th edition. They're on the 10th edition. So right after they made the 10th edition, we tried to go get the 10th edition. You can't find it. That shit is gone. It is like it was. It only came out a couple years ago. So we went and called the goddamn author of the book, the nigga who wrote the book. We was like, hey, you got any 10th editions? He was like, nah, nigga.
Wow.
Nah, nigga, I'm out.
Yeah.
How valuable that book is. That, you know, as soon as this book comes out, all the stockbrokers and motherfuckers
grab it up.
Man, they snatch that shit up immediately. So please, if y'all go get this book, you can get it. Try thriftbooks.com or abebooks.com. You can try and find it. But you can get.
Somebody in the chat wants to know, where can they purchase the Great Research Melanin book at, Kev?
Realnagas.com. Just go. So you know, if you want this, I also have the you know, I teach people the law. That's my other thing. So you know, I'm on a mission to get melanated people, a million melanated people to learn the law. So I basically created the basic information that you need to know at police stops. So I think this is called the Know Your Rights Manual. So in here, it has everything that you need to know at a police stop, so that the police doesn't violate your rights. Because most of y'all don't even know that most time police officers, when they roll up to you, they don't even have the right to talk to you without something called reasonable suspicion. They need to suspect you of a crime in order to be able to engage with you on a criminal side of the game. And most of y'all don't even know that. And you're so scared when they walk up, you just literally just give over your rights right up without even knowing that you're doing it. So you have all these rights that police have to follow. And if you don't know them, they'll take your rights every day. So this is the Know Your Rights Manual. This has all of the rights that you need to know. Also, this is created something called the Constitutional Rights Card. So when you're at a police stop, and there's certain laws, there's certain rights that you have. And if you say those rights, you give the police officer this card that has all your rights on the card, and you sit down and you be quiet. You're never supposed to answer questions from police officers ever, never, never, ever. This is why they all get you all the time, because you're always running your mouth too much at the goddamn police stop. So this is something called the rights card. It has all your rights that the police officer needs to know. It also has on the back what happens to police officers when they violate your rights. Police officers have something called police insurance or police bonds to make sure that they don't fuck up in public. You can go place a claim on that bond when they violate your rights. So they know that you don't. And if you're able to say this type of stuff, you'll get a police off your ass. Also, y'all heard about qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is what police officers have. This is how they get off when they beat your ass. They got qualified immunity. So this is a qualified immunity card. You give this to a police officer at the stop. It shows how they lose their qualified immunity when they violate your constitutional rights. And so all of that comes. This is the notice that has the laws, the Supreme Court cases that shows how they'll violate your rights. And so all of that, and also this is police stop flashcards. So everything you need to know, most of the important stuff that's in the Know Your Rights manual are in these police stop flashcards. So you can sit down with your kids 30 minutes a day, every other day, whatever it is, but make them learn the law, how to deal with the police, because that's the most important thing. When they step out of that house, they're predating. The police are predators on the kids, because they know they look like they're grown. Our kids look like they're grown, but then so they can smash on them like they're grown and know that they don't know their rights. So if you buy the Great Book of Melanin Research, you get that whole package for free. Oh, also this is the police public official bonds. So what I was telling you, the police officers have police insurance, which is called a police bond or a public official bond, to ensure that they don't mess up. Most people don't know where those bonds are. So I created this book to show you how to file a lien on a police officer's bond. So to show you the contrast, when you place when you put a claim or a complaint against a police officer and you want to sue him, the police officer can still work for about 2 years while that complaint is going until the lawsuit is finished, and you win or you don't win, but they're still getting paid. If you place a lien on a police officer's bond, they can't work the next day.
Interesting.
No police officer can work in the country without a police bond. That is law for every single state. So they know you don't know that, though. But start saying words like, I'm about to place a lien on your bond for violating my rights at a police stop, and see how the police see how the police change. So I'll give you all this. You get all the police stop shit for free when you order the Great Book of Melanin Research, the hard copy, because I need y'all to learn the law. I don't need to sell you the book. I need y'all to learn the law. So get that shit for free.
I just want y'all to see Brother Rich supports.
Oh,
I bought this from the brother. When I heard the brother's video on the Great Conjunction in December, I knew I had to support the brother.
That's what's up.
So I went, I purchased it. It's book 1 and book 2 I got.
Yeah, it is. There's 2 books. Yeah, it's 2 books.
I got book 1 and book 2. But just to let you know, Brother Rich supports,
Sure.
Brother, what's the website again? Somebody want to know what's the website. What's the website again?
Real Nagas. Oh shit, Real Nagas.
Yes.
Right there. And just go to the Naga Knowledge Shop, and then you can get them.
Naga Knowledge Shop. Ooh, I like how that sounds. Naga Knowledge.
Yeah, the Naga Knowledge Shop. That's where all the knowledge, all that stuff is. Get all the books, the information is just from that page. But man, it's that's one of my main goals, is to get us to learn the law, because that is I've been studying law for 25 years, and so constitutional law and stuff like that. And the one thing I know is that our lack of understanding of the legal system is what fucks us over. And we're so scared of it. We're like, oh, nigga, they gonna, as soon as you learn this shit, nigga, they gonna change that shit on you, nigga. They gonna flip the law up. Well, you can learn what they change it to. The laws are public. they ain't private laws, they public. So whatever they change the law to, you can go look that up again. But learning these laws, learning how the police, what the repercussions that police officers have from violating your rights is a major thing. They know you don't know that. They assume they count on you not knowing. Yeah. When they roll up on your ass, that you not knowing that they have something called a police bond, or that they have something called qualified immunity that they can violate, that they can break, they can lose by violating your constitutional rights. They know you don't know any of that shit. They know you don't know those words. You don't even know those words. Qualified immunity is not 2 words that's usually used together. And so they know you don't know that shit. And so, but when you start understanding that, you start letting them know that you do know that type of stuff, I'm telling you, the whole game changes. There's a brother named Big Nick, South Florida Accountability. I need y'all to go look up Big Nick. Big Nick is a brother who he's called a constitutional rights activist and auditor, and he rolls up on police all the time, gangstering on them. Brother. I mean, when I say brother, I mean brother from the hood. And so he be, what's your name and your badge number? And so that's the very first thing he roll up. He gangsters the police so much that when he goes to police, when they roll up and shit like that, they get out the car and they getting ready to be all gangster, and they see him, they be like, oh, what up, Big Nick?
Wow.
They know him that way. They know him, so they don't fuck with him. because he know the law. When
Yeah.
they try to jack him up, they be like, no, penal code, Bob says this. Florida penal code, or Florida code says, and he knows that law. When you say that shit, they can't say nothing back. When you say the exact law that they know that they're supposed to be enforcing, what can they say now after that? You got them on camera doing it too? They fucked. They know most of y'all don't know that shit. So again, somebody like Big Nick, though, you sit down, learn the law, take your time to learn those laws, and you go out and you can smash on them. Not that that's what you're supposed to be doing, but you know, when they try to violate your rights, that's when you smash. And I'm telling you, go watch that channel. He smashes on cops every goddamn video. It's not a game. So you know, that's one of the things.
Well, we're about to get out of here. Any other contact information you want the family to have to get in touch with you? Because I know a lot of people gonna reach out to you, man, after seeing this.
Man, no, I don't really do social media. I just do just YouTube, man. Oh, YouTube channel, youtube.com/Real Nagas. That's when you can see all the documentaries and stuff that I have. You know, especially about the dragon, the ancient lore of the dragons in the Phoenix. The documentary is called Face of the Dragon, and all the other videos I have on symbolism. I do a lot of videos on symbolism, ancient Moorish history, all that type of stuff. So. That's on the YouTube channel. Just go check that out.
All right. With that being said, family, this is Brother Rich, Kev from Real Niggas. I look forward to having you on here again, my brother. But for now, we getting out of here. I want to thank everybody in the chat room. Tell everybody Brother Rich is on this channel for the next week and a half. And I'll see y'all next time, family. All right, we're getting out of here. Peace.
Peace.